flight from Vancouver to Sydney with 270 passengers and 18 crew members on Tuesday when he got an extraordinary request. Captain Andrew Robertson was asked by the Australian Maritime Safety Authority to assist them in locating a sailor in distress off the east coast of Australia. He checked his fuel, then he made an announcement on his PA asking his passengers and crew to help him locate the yacht. And here he is now to tell you the rest of the story right out of his own mouth. Thank you so much for coming in, Captain.
Thank you for having me.
What an extraordinary story. Can you take us just from the beginning of the flight and what happened?
Okay, well, I have a map here, if they can zoom in on it, which basically shows our original planned routing. We usually fly right over Honolulu and come down into Sydney, which is down here. Mm-hmm. But because we had weather in that area, we elected to reroute further south and came back this way. So that reroute caused us to be later than we originally anticipated, some 40 minutes later. For that 40 minutes would have put us on the ground in Sydney when the call came. So when we were actually just about to start our descent into Vancouver, into Sydney. If you can you see this? This is the first question was the air traffic control. We're talking to Brisbane. They say, can you assist us? We've just received an emergency locator transmitter. Search and rescue is curious if you have enough fuel. Would you be able to assist us? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, okay, well, where is the ship? And because they said, well, it's a ship, a yacht. Mm-hmm. They think it's a yacht. It's either sinking or has already sunk. That was what they told us. Yeah. So we programmed in. They gave us the coordinates because this emergency locator transmitter sends a signal. It's picked up by the satellite. Satellites give latitude and longitude. We programmed that into our computer, and that's it. It was quite a ways away. It was 273 nautical miles from Sydney, so it was 160 nautical miles from where we were, which meant 160 this way, 160 back. 320 nautical miles that we had to add. We were just about to start down into Sydney. Right. So the other big issue for us was Brisbane said, well, we only control the airspace down to 25,000 feet. Below 25,000 uncontrolled. Mm-hmm. So I said to him, well, is it on an airway? Because we're worried, because there's no radar coverage out there.
Right.
We don't want to hit anything. And he said, well, yes, it is on an airway, Sydney to Auckland. And he said, but there's no known traffic. So we initially elected to go down to 25,000, and thinking that would be a good altitude. Well, of course, you can't see anything.
You couldn't see anything. I mean, clearly by the pictures that we're seeing. So then we said, okay, we're going to 10. So we descended out of controlled airspace down to 10,000 feet. And, of course, 10,000 way too high as well. So we kept on going down to 5. And initially I had made this announcement to the passengers, okay, well, we've received this message. We're going to look for this guy. And so, I'm a nervous flyer when I fly, and any little change in a flight kind of rattles me. How did you explain that to the passengers on board, just exactly what was happening, and what was their reaction like? Well,
of course, I can't see their reaction. From what I heard, it was good. I just, initially, as soon as I made the turn, I told them what we were going to do.
Okay.
And then other crew members, I had First Officer Rick Sadva,
right,
and First Officer Willie Coe, and First Officer Mark Larson helping. And the flight attendants were also making announcements, and so we solicited binoculars from them. And as we approached the area, which was very close to where they had told us, I made an announcement, could anybody, especially passengers on the right side, please look out to sea, because it was windy. The wind was coming from the north. There were white caps, and we didn't really know if what we were looking for. It could have been a sunken ship, which you wouldn't see anything.
And at this point, you're at 3,700 feet?
At that point, we're at 5,000.
Okay, which is, in relation to how close is that?
But you don't want to be right down on the water, because you want to be able to see. We're not really sure what we're going to see, and I want to be able high enough that I can see a certain distance.
And so throughout this whole process, you had a lot of things to consider. You had
Yes.
the fuel considerations.
Yes.
You also had the considerations that this was really going to delay your flight now. Was there ever a moment in your mind that you had second thoughts?
No.
No.
No, my thought was that we're not going to see anything. It's just really difficult. And how accurate is this position that they've given us? But as we closed in on it, almost right away, my first officer, who didn't have binoculars, he said, "Oh, I think I see it." And sure enough, he said, "Oh, yeah, that's it." And we came around, and he said, "Well, yes, they thought the boat was inverted, and there was nobody on board." So I said, "Okay, fine," because they were Sydney Search and Rescue was curious, was there anything there? So that was, I thought, okay, fine, there is a boat, but there's nobody on it, or they've been washed overboard. At least they know that they're looking for a boat, something.
And now that you've seen, like we've seen clips of Glenn, and he's speaking out, he was out in the restaurant having a milkshake. That's the first thing he wanted to do. What's your reaction now, seeing that he's alive, he's well?
Oh, well, ecstatic. And we knew I was going to head to back to Sydney after that first turn, and then the other pilot said, "Well, we should come around again." I said, "Okay, fine." He said, "Well, can you get Laura?" I said, "Yeah, I can get Laura." And we went down to 3,700 feet. We came around again, and they thought initially that we had seen 3 people on deck, but that's what they said. I couldn't see it at all because I'm on the left side and we're going around to the right. And so then we were really happy. And passenger, I can't remember everything that happened at that point.
Did they burst into applause?
I think some people may have seen him. I don't know if because we can't hear them if they're applauding at all. And that was it. We flew back to Sydney and landed, and it was very exciting. And a lot of the passengers' comments were very positive about having experienced that, being involved in that. It was great that he was alive. Yeah.
Captain, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story. I know there's a huge interest in this, and it's not something you hear about every day, that's for sure.
I haven't been down that close to the water in a long time.
Okay, thanks so much. More news, weather, and traffic is coming up next, everyone.